welcome back to our channel TANMAI'S Experiments. In today's video, we are going to see what's inside a switch. So, without waiting, let's get into the video. What is an electric switch? A device for making and breaking the connection in a circuit. Electric switch is an electrical device which can make or break an electric circuit. A switch is said to be in on position when it makes or completes the circuit and allows the current to pass through. Similarly, a switch is in off position when it breaks the circuit and does not allow the current to pass through. What is an electric switch made up of? Earlier switches were made of porcelain in the surface mounted version and operated as rotatory switch with a rotatory mechanism. Later, more durable bakelite and ebonite was used. Today, they are made of modern plastics and polycarbonate or fire-resistant ABS. Why are electrical switches made up of plastic? Electrical switches are made up of plastic because plastic protects people from electricity. As we know that plastic is an electrical insulator, readily available and cheap. So, as to make the plugs shock-free, they are made up of plastic. Who invented an electric switch? John Henry Holmes, J.H. Holmes and Co. John Henry Holmes, 1857 to 1935, was an English electrical engineer, inventor, quaker and pioneer of electric lighting who invented the quick break light switch. The technology behind which remains the basis for modern wall-mounted light switches. What's inside an electric switch? There are three wires, a hot wire, a neutral wire and a ground wire within this insulated cable. Hot wire connects to one of the terminals on the switch and the load powering outlet. The neutral wire links the other terminal to the load. How does a switch work in a circuit? An electric switch is a device that interrupts the electron flow in a circuit. Switches are primarily binary devices, either fully on or off, and light switches have a simple design. When the switch is turned off, the circuit breaks and the power flow is interrupted. Circuits consist of a source of power and load. A load is a powered device. The function of an electric switch is to regulate current between the load and source of power. The power source is the electrons that push through the circuits. The voltage is the quantity of force or pressure applied by the power source. Power sources must have a negative and positive endpoint. The negative terminal connects to the charge and the electrons drive through the circuit. The load receives the current and returns it via the positive terminal to the power source. The electrical switch is inserted in this loop. Function of an electric switch. Electrical switches work according to a basic design. The most common switches are on-off toggle ones. Three-way and dimmer circuits are similar in design. Three-way circuits consist of two separate switches that control the same device, while a dimmer circuit controls only the amount of electricity that passes. Electric circuits work when electricity can move in a continuous loop. The electricity cuts off once the circle is broken. This is where the switch comes in. A toggle on or on-off circuit breaks the current when it is off. The current or loop completes itself when it's in on position. Components of an electric switch. Fuse box is the power source in a home. For an electric switch to work, it must be connected to the fuse box and the load. A specific cable type is used to connect the power source to the switch and the power outlet that drives the load. There are three wires, a hot wire, a neutral wire and a ground wire within this insulated cable. Hot wire connects to one of the terminals on the switch and the load powering outlet. The neutral wire links the other terminal to the load. The ground wire connects the outlet. Electrical contacts inside the switch join two terminals together. The connections link when you turn on the switch as the switch is turned off. These contacts break. The current is controlled by a position in which the switch is located. Components of an electric switch. There are different types of switches such as toggle switches, joystick switches, push button switch are a few of them. Toggle switches and push button switches are common light switches used in a household. Phenolics cables make Pheno switch has a range of switches made of superior quality. They are durable and tested to last over 10 lakh clicks and have a fluorescent strip that glows in dark and acts like a guide. Purchasing good quality products is always beneficial in the long run. Types of electric switches. Working of SPST switch. This switch has two contacts, one is input and other output. From the typical light switch diagram, it controls one wire and it makes one connection. This is an on-off switch. When the switch is closed or on, then current flows through the terminals and the bulb in circuit will glow. When the switch is open or off, then there is no current flow in the circuit. These types of switches are also called toggle switches. Working of SPDT switch. For using the SPDT as SPST switch, then just use the COM terminal instead of other terminals. For instance, we can use COM and A or COM and B. From the circuit, it clearly demonstrates what happens when the SPDT switch is moved back and forth. These switches are used in three-way circuit to turn on light on off from two locations, such as from the top and bottom of a stairway. When the switch A is closed, then current flows through the terminal and only light A will on and light B will off. When switch B is closed, then current flows through the terminal and only light B will on and light A will off. Hence, we are controlling the two circuits or paths via one way or source. Working of DPST switch. DPST is abbreviation for double pole single throw. Double pole means that the unit contains two identical switches side by side and operated by one single toggle or lever. This means that two separate circuits are at a time controlled through one push. A DPST switch turns two circuits on or off. A DPST switch has four terminals, two inputs and two outputs. The most common use for a DPST switch is to control a 240 volt appliance, where both supply lines must be switched, while the neutral wire may be permanently connected here. When this switch is toggled, current starts flowing through two circuits and interrupted when it is turned off. Working of DPDT switch. DPDT is a double pole double throw switch. This is equivalent to two SPDT switches. It routes two separate circuits connecting each of two inputs to one of two outputs. The position of the switch determines the number of ways in which each of the two contacts can be routed. Whether it is in on or off mode, they functions like two separate SPDT switches operated by the same by the same actuator. Only two loads can be on at a time. A DPDT can be used on any application that requires an open and closed wiring system. An example of which the railroad modeling, which makes use of small scale trains and railways, bridges and cars. The closed allows for the system to be on at all times, while open allows for another piece to be turned on or activated through the relay. See friends, these are few parts inside the switch. See friends, these are some electric components. See friends, in science while drawing circuits, suppose if they ask us to draw switch, we cannot draw exact shape of switch, right? So, instead of drawing switch, we will draw symbols like this. See here we have switch, cell, battery, diode, resistor, variable resistor, etc. So friends, hope you learned something about a switch. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, do like, share, comment and subscribe to TANMAI'S Experiments, and also activate the bell icon to be notified by the upcoming videos.